This is Captain Black, the Hood Conservative. Today's topic, white strategy and black crime. As an observer and participant in inner-city anti-crime activity, I've always noted with some amusement how detached, disinterested, and distant white strategists will always attempt to impose their vision of what's necessary to make inner-city communities and ostensibly the cities surrounding them safer. I've watched any number of think tanks, symposiums, press conferences, and what have you, where you have an all-white panel, often liberal, offering their uninvited opinions about what will make black communities safer. New Orleans, regrettably, is no exception. We have, as the mayor's lead social program, I really can't say anti-crime program, the Chicago-based ceasefire model. And it's interesting to note that this particular ceasefire model, there are several, uses ex-convicts as violence interrupters, which theoretically or clinically, if you view black people as rats in a maze, makes all the sense in the world. However, under the Chicago model, these same ex-convicts who are employed in a violence interrupter capacity are not obligated to report to the police any criminal activities or conspiracies they become privy of during their, quote, violence interruption. So you have ex-cons interacting with current cons, but nobody in a position to stop any type of potentially violent activity is being informed of what's going on. Now, some can say that that's a good thing, but I must ask, were we in communities where young white children were being gunned down with the regularity that we see here in New Orleans, particularly in the violence-plagued Central City region, would we accept any type of program that gathers information on potential criminal activity but does not forward it to the appropriate authorities? You see, you can look at black people as rats in a maze, and you can experiment with us, and you can say that violence is an epidemic, and you can use medical terms to address it. But at day's end, if you are not engaging stakeholders in these affected areas, not ex-cons in an affirmative action program, but people fighting crime in these high crime areas, then really you're engaging in the type of echo chamber we see too often when white liberals decide to inject themselves into black crime. I've seen this for 20 years. I anticipate seeing it for 20 more. The arrogance of certain segments of the American population with regard to black crime literally knows no bounds. We have a mayor who picks his political cronies, whose idea of crime prevention ends at the front door, to the exclusion of persons like Brother Al Mims, peacekeepers, various churches, mentoring, social and civic groups who are actually engaged in frontline, hands-on, boots on the ground, anti-crime prevention on a daily basis. Black crime cannot be solved by a white strategist in City Hall. While it may make him feel good, while it may bemuse his supporters in the upper class and the black middle class, the end result is that New Orleans still has an understaffed police department. It still has street activists who are not being funded. And in the midst of these two deficits, we also have a rising murder rate, which includes children, infants. The question has to be begged about this particular episode of white strategy and black crime. Were white children being gunned down in the streets with the frightening regularity that we see here in New Orleans? Would the mayor be content not to fully staff police precincts in those areas where these crimes are happening? It's not race baiting. It's a fair question. And remember, folks, he's a Democrat, so according to the popular urban myth, he's supposed to be black folks' best friend. But when it comes to black crime, white strategy that does not involve black people actively opposed to crime ultimately fails everyone.